I'm done. Over the past 2 months, I've been working on something. Actually, not one thing, but rather a collection of things. But before I start showing, let me explain the problem I've been trying to solve. I was recently working on an app that required me to integrate both M-Pesa and Stripe in order to process payments from the app's users. And during the dev process, I just juxtaposed the dev experience of working with Stripe's SDK library and having to build an M-Pesa payment integration up from scratch. And later, I was told I needed to add in an MTN Momo integration in order to process mobile money transactions in African countries that didn't support M-Pesa payments. Stripe's implementation was easy and nothing much to it, just a couple of lines of code. The M-Pesa integration wasn't as easy, and it took me about 2 days to get the hang of what I was doing. This involved reviewing the Raja API docs, testing out the APIs, failing, trying to figure out what went wrong, looking for answers in the developer platform, not finding answers in the developer platform, and getting lucky a couple of times. Through the MTN integration, I faced a similar ordeal. Now please note, I'm not throwing shade at any of the developers who put months, if not years, into building and maintaining either platforms. I appreciate that what they've done. I just wish the dev experience was better and the integration was easier for new developers to the platform. I consider both M-Pesa and MTN mobile money payment processors, and as far as they are concerned, the tools only need to reach here, and anything beyond that is beyond their scope. So what I wanted was an abstraction layer built on top of these mobile money providers with a simple to use SDK with built-in integration to business needs. So basically something similar to Stripe. Now I do realize I don't have the same funding Stripe has, but then again, let's start with Stripe. Stripe markets itself as a financial infrastructure for the internet. And at this point, it's important to note that's not what I'm trying to build. What I'm trying to build is a better dev experience for developers like me who need to integrate with mobile money payment providers across Africa and want to ship to production faster without having to compromise on how the payments are processed. I mentioned Stripe here because of my experience with the SDKs and APIs. I want to build an SDK like that, as well as supporting tools for it. Stripe provides SDKs for your backend and frontend that reduce the amount of work it takes to integrate payments into your application, so that you can do payments in a couple of lines of code and not a couple of 100 lines of code. They sell a great developer experience, and this is probably why they are widely adopted. Stripe also extends to creating new products on their dashboard and sending invoices to your customers, as well as handling subscriptions for you. In the old days, integrations with payment providers was grueling endeavor that took days for even the most skilled developers. However, I believe that doesn't have to be the case. Developers should be able to focus more on their application's business needs without having to divert their time to write hundreds of lines of boilerplate code. An open source example similar to Stripe in developer experience, but in an entirely different field, is Superbase. Superbase creates a great abstraction on top of Postgres and makes it easy for you to manage and interact with your database through its easy-to-use SDKs and dashboard. The best part of this is you can self-host your own Superbase instance and modify it to fit your needs. This experience is what I'm looking for. A self-hosted solution with all the SDK libraries you need to integrate with. In order to achieve the SDK abstraction I had previously pointed out, it's important to separate the integrations with the payment providers like M-Pesa or MTN from the main SDK, and have the main SDK that developers get to use dependent on the payment integration libraries. However, the SDK itself doesn't need to consume the libraries directly. But rather through a dedicated API layer. This means the SDK can be implemented headlessly as an interface and not part of the core mechanics. So the SDK itself can be implemented in any number of ways and in different languages with ease. Above the SDK, a more user-facing abstraction would be a dashboard, allowing users to review all key metrics related to their instance of the SDK. In order to more tightly couple payments to the business logic, the SDK will also feature the ability for users to create entities like customers, products, payments, and payment methods, as well as send invoices to customers and send notifications to the sellers. All these can be packaged as a Docker Compose that can run all the services like the dashboard and the API. Developers will then be able to host this dashboard wherever they want to, with full control of every part of the code. As I had mentioned earlier, I've already been working on this for about 2 to 3 months. So the vision I described in the previous section has already started to take shape, and I've already published 2 libraries which are still in development. Please note the version numbers on these, just in case you're tempted to use them. The project structure has already taken shape as a monorepo with a set of packages and apps. The packages include one for M-Pesa integrations only, a React package with UI elements for payment forms, and a Node version of the SDK that consumes the REST API. The apps include a REST API which makes use of the M-Pesa package and introduces the sub-entities I described earlier, like customers and products, and a dashboard app that uses the Node SDK and interacts directly with the DB, enabling you to do all the CRUD operations you would need. The project is still in development and a long way from the vision I had in mind. However, I'm determined to get it there. The chosen name for the project is ptrajectory-payments. It will probably change in the future, but I'm happy with it for now. feel free to start it on GitHub. There's a lot of work yet to be done, and I'm planning on slowly working on the project through the remainder of the year. I'll probably post some updates on my progress in the future. But until then,